Welcome to Love Where You Live, a podcast where we have conversations about why it's awesome to live in Boulder and Boulder County. And it's not just why it's awesome, it's talking to awesome people that are here in our county. I say that every time. Maybe I overuse the word, but I've got a really great friend here that's joining us. And we call him Dr. Dave. Not everyone calls him Dr. Dave. Some friends do. Maybe that's a name he's known by. But Dr. David Saint Singh, I always mess that up too, Saint Singh. And a guy that I get to interact with most of the time at the Meadows Swim Club through summer swim team. But this is an individual that also I knew in the sport of triathlon, or know through the sport of triathlon, an accomplished individual. And I'll give a very shoddy introduction. Someone that's been in the field of medicine for a long time, in emergency care, emergency room doctor, former University of North Carolina Tar Heels. Is that right? You're Tar Heel? Are you Tar Heel?
Well, that's true. I went to medical school.
Yeah, well, so you don't. Okay, so
yeah.
I won't. I'll come back to that. But I call you're Tar Heel. You're somewhere else for undergrad. But this is a guy that has a great story, and I'm excited to dive in and share the past, the present, and also what we're doing in the future. Dave, thanks for coming.
Oh, thanks, Mike. So happy to be here. Happy to spend an hour with you.
Yeah.
I've been excited about sitting down with you for a while.
Yeah, likewise. I know, for sure. And sorry to throw that Tar Heel at you, because I'm always a fan. Like I was born in North Carolina, I have zero ties to it, but people still call me a Tar Heel. I'm like, just because if you have a North Carolina tie, they label you with that. So if that's unfair, I retract immediately. But yeah.
Yeah, not unfair at all. Yeah, I grew up in North Carolina. I did not know that you were born there.
Yeah.
This will be fun for me, too, to hear a little bit about you as we go. But, yeah, I grew up in the state. I went to Wake Forest as an undergraduate.
Okay.
And so that's probably where my loyalties
The Demon Deacons.
Yeah, the Demon Deacons. But I have a lot of friends that went to Carolina, and my medical school roommate played basketball for them, and
cool.
So I certainly have some loyalty there too. My sister went there, and I went there for medical school, and it's a lot of fun right now, with their crazy football coach situation with Belichick and his 20-year-old girlfriend being there.
Super fun. Well, you know what's hilarious, and you're being very kind, because your alma mater is your alma mater. So, like, I know you carried on. I didn't carry on past my undergrad. I just have one alma. But you're being You're being very kind. I know. So now I stand corrected. You're a Wake Forest guy. So I'm back on. I've got you. And sorry about that.
Yeah. It's funny, when you grow up as the little guy, right?
Yeah,
Which Wake certainly is. I can remember being a kid.
Yeah.
Back in the days where you listened to basketball on radio and listening to Wake play Carolina, and you hated.
You hated Carolina 100%.
Yeah, because they're so good.
You have to. Yeah.
So good. Yeah.
Yeah, they're so good.
A little jealousy, but that's okay.
No, but it's neat. And the college rivalry, I mean, the good old days of the ACC, I mean, there's always good. I mean, I feel like Duke, Carolina, Wake, the whole thing, there's just so much to follow. I was a big college basketball fan just watching it. And somehow I latched on to the ACC, and I'm from New Mexico. So, like, I wasn't rooting for the Lobos at the time. I was a little bit. But anyway, I get it. And so while we're there, though, let's just stay. You grew up in whereabouts in North Carolina?
Yeah, I grew up in a small town, little furniture town called Thomasville.
Okay.
Still has the brand. I don't even know who owns it now. I think it's all produced in Asia somewhere. But little tiny furniture town, and Wake Forest actually is not too far away. It's only about 30 miles down the road. My father went there. My brother went there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was good. So, very North Carolina centric for most of my life early. And then I decided after medical school, actually, to back up a little bit, I was a swimmer. Didn't really start swimming till high school.
Okay.
Swam for this little YMCA team. Didn't have a coach that had any knowledge until halfway through my senior year. I started swimming for a club team.
Okay.
So I got a few months of
couple
training. Months. Yeah. During this summer, I went to this meet where there were a bunch of the year-round kids there, and beat them all in a 50 freestyle.
Nice.
Yeah, it was good. I was kind of quick back then. I think I went like 25 flat and 50 long course.
Yeah.
Just nobody. And they were like, you should swim for us. And finally I did a little bit, but I was like a 2,000 yard a day sort of guy.
Right.
wasn't in a position to go swim in college. I could have walked on at Duke, but decided to go to Wake, go to the alma mater.
Yes.
But then started coaching. I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
So I wanted to make a little money while I was there. Started coaching
How about that?
for their year-round team and learned how to coach. Fell in love with it. And when I graduated, I decided to be a coach. So that's what I did for a couple years.
Okay.
I coached a really good club team. I was super fortunate to land a high-quality team in North Carolina and some great swimmers, several kids that went to college. We had a national age group record holder.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Yeah, that's
super fun. But, I actually, I mean, you're a parent, right? You're a parent. You're a youth sport parent. And youth sport parents can be challenging sometimes to
Well
coaches. And I try to remember that relative to my own kids. But I struggled. I was pretty young and immature, and I really had a hard time with parents. So I decided to step away from that and pursue medicine, which was probably a better choice for me.
A better choice. But yeah, well, that's really cool. I want to dive a little bit back. So was swimming just your passion from young, or not really? You sort of felt, you said kind of casual YMCA and you fell into it. You did other sports, or was that?
Yeah, I did. I mostly played basketball as a kid and football and, baseball, like all that sort of typical stuff. There really weren't a lot of offerings. Yeah. I mean, soccer hadn't even come to my little town yet.
Yeah.
So I didn't grow up knowing how to play soccer.
Gotcha. Fair. Okay.
Yeah, so I did those and, swam at our local country club for fun. And I was like, it seems like I'm kind of fast.
Yeah, that's neat. Okay, cool.
So the way our program started at the Y was I convinced the director to let me pull together some kids and start a team. He's like, you can get 20 kids. Well, and you got to get your coach.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we did, and we ended up with 40 or 50 kids and
wow.
had a little Bad News Bears sort of program.
Oh, I love it. Okay, neat. Yeah. Well, that's cool. Thanks for sharing that. I love the background. And so then, finishing up undergrad, a couple years of coaching, and where are you? You're still in...
Yeah, I'm in North Carolina, a little town not too far from mine called High Point, but a really high quality team.
Yeah.
Left. I had to take some prereqs, so moved to Chapel Hill. Yeah. Spent a year taking some prereqs, and then got into medical school and stayed in Chapel Hill. Loved it. That was my focus. So I don't know if you've ever been there.
It's a great town.
Oh my gosh, what a town! What a fantastic school. It's
absolutely
hard to get into for a reason.
Super hard to get into.
School.
But because it is. It's great, and people tend to, I think people tend to stay. A lot of people stay there in that area anyway.
Yeah.
So you got in. So a couple years, you got your prereqs, you got in, and then how long were you there? That's a long program you're diving into.
Well, medical school is 4 years,
and
I decided to go into emergency medicine. You go through this process of applying to different residencies, go through a match process, which is a computer selection process. They rank you, you rank them, end up where you end up. So, on match day, I discovered I was going to Philadelphia, which is where I was hoping to go.
Okay.
And I wanted to get out of the state. I wanted to kind of, grow up a little bit. It's been my whole life in North Carolina. I really hadn't traveled a ton.
Yeah.
Wasn't a very worldly human being, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Probably a little boy still to some extent. But went out to Philly, which was fantastic. I did grow up quickly, big city, tremendously different than Chapel Hill or my little town or Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Yeah.
3 years of emergency medicine residency there.
Wow.
And really good program, good exposure. It was a fantastic experience.
Fantastic. And when you got there, did you keep? Were you? My vision of any of that is you're just swamped with studies and work and residency. Are you exercising? You swimming still? You give that up? What'd you do there?
Yeah, I exercised. By then I kind of picked up triathlon a little bit, so I rode a little, not a ton.
Yeah.
You're in the city, right?
Yeah, not easy.
So you got to get out. I swam some.
Okay.
I was as active as I could be, lifted. I just did what I could. You're right. There are times, it's funny I don't know, they probably don't do this anymore, but in our trauma rotation, it was 48 hours on, 48 hours off.
Okay. That's serious.
Yeah, it was a bear. And, you go in early before it starts, and then you stay late. So you round early, round late. During moments like that, you you survive.
You're surviving. Exactly.
Yeah. So medical school wasn't that hard, but it was a lot of fun, a lot of great friendships
cool.
there. And Chapel Hill just sort of drives all that. But residency was busy.
Okay.
That was a lot of work.
Yeah.
That was definitely, roll your sleeves up, get dirty.
Yes.
Work hard.
Yes, and you obviously did well with that. Did you love that? Was that a natural for you, just to have that work ethic and you're put down, roll your sleeves up and go? Put your head down?
Yeah. That's how we were raised. My siblings are very similar, sort of nose to the grindstone type folks.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, my father grew up the same little town, Thomasville, that I grew up in. Parents were tobacco farmers. He was the only one of his siblings to go to college and up early working on the farm. And, he'd participate in sports, but then come home and do some work around the house or on the farm, do his homework, like hardworking guy.
Yeah,
so that's how we were raised.
Okay.
Just work hard.
There you go.
Don't whine too much.
Yeah,
nobody's going to listen anyway.
That's right. Okay, so 3 years in Philly, and then what? You decided now it's time to get out and pick a place, or how did that work?
Well, when you finish residency, you go through the job application process, try and find an ER job somewhere. I did stay in Philly for, about not too long, year and a half, something like that. It was fine, but I realized big city life probably was not for me, and I really wasn't sure what the long term presented, but it made some sense to get back to North Carolina and kind of settle in, reconnect with my family, reconnect with friends that live there. So I moved to Charlotte and lived in Charlotte for 3 years and really enjoyed it. But several times along the way, I made it to the Mountain West and just had this yearning. And when I moved to Charlotte, I got pretty deeply involved with triathlon, was racing a lot, training a lot. So I was having fun with all that, but I really wanted to be in the Mountain West. And it kind of fell into my lap. A close friend of mine who lives in Boston and I were talking. He's like, and one of his mentors, this guy who's actually kind of the father of emergency medicine named Peter Rosen, who's now deceased. This guy was friends with Peter. And Peter said, one of our guys in Jackson Hole's in the reserves and got called up. And so this was in, I don't know, 02, 03, 01, I don't know, something like that. And they need help. And he said, can I just put you in touch with Peter? And I was like, the most famous person all of emergency medicine. I was like, sure.
Yes, please.
And so he did. And long story short, I got a job in Jackson Hole and went out there. It was a part-time gig. So it was fantastic. I was able to exercise plenty, ski plenty. During the saddle seasons, they didn't have work for me, so I went to Hawaii and just hung out.
Nice. Good choice.
One of my best friends from college lives in Oahu and he's a professor at the university. So I just hung out at his house and trained and pretended to surf. I'm terrible. Absolutely terrible. But it was great. It was good life. Cool. Had a good few years there before realizing maybe the town was a little small.
Too small for you. And so now we're early, kind of mid 2000s. Would that be about right? Yeah,
that's about right. There was a funny occurrence during that. I think this was while I was living there. That's connected to you.
Okay, let's hear it.
Yeah, so I really wanted to do wildflower and left Hawaii at some point and just flew. I was in the middle of a work gig, actually. I was doing a little locums work over in Hawaii, too. Flew my bike, and didn't know anybody. It's a big race. Did you ever do it?
Yeah, once,
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so just once for me, too. So I get there, and I don't know anybody. So, they're just directing you around, trying to find a spot to throw your tent up.
Camping,
it's crazy. It's crazy. So I found a spot and popped the tent up, and, I'm just like sitting in a chair reading a book. And this woman walks by, very friendly, just says, hello, really tall, fit-looking woman. I'm like, she must be a pro. And eventually we struck up a conversation. Her name's Heather Wortell. And became eventually became really close friends with
Right.
her and Trevor. Even
Yeah.
I coached her. Well, I coached Trevor a little bit
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
but I coached Heather in the water for a couple of years.
That's right, yeah. Wow.
But what we ended up just kind of hanging out that weekend.
Uh-huh.
She eventually introduced me to all these other Canadians, and I have several friends that are scattered around Canada through Heather and Trevor.
Nice.
Yeah, stay in touch with them a little. That's faded over time, but
Yeah.
we became really close for a while.
Good people.
Yeah, good people. They actually stayed with Melissa and I. So you've met Melissa,
Yeah.
my wife, at the Meadows. We all went to Kona together, and
Oh,
they
man.
stayed with us. I think she maybe podiumed, or she had
Sure.
a really good day.
Sure, she had a
was
good day,
for
yeah.
sure top 5,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it was super fun. But I remember at some point Heather saying that they were friends with you.
Yeah.
And this was before I even knew you. Somehow we just ended up talking about you, and they're like, oh, Mike, a lot of great guy. So full circle, right?
That's
so
it.
Here
Oh my
we
gosh,
are.
yeah.
Here we
I
are.
love that. That's a great story. Those guys, yeah, they were, you kind of intersect with a lot of folks in the time when you're traveling around in that very immersed in the sport. And those two, I immediately knew when I met, and I met them early, I was like, these guys are the quality people. Like, I wouldn't mind running into them again now,
Sure.
many years later. So yeah, I'm sure for you as well. So, well, that's fun. Okay. And I like it. You're kind of living a fun time. You're practicing emergency medicine, you're training for triathlon, you're traveling about, did Wildflower, and then you realize you need to go somewhere else. Is this when we find you making your way to Front Range, or did you go somewhere else after Jackson Hole?
Yeah, I came here.
Yeah.
I wanted to be relatively in the Mountain West.
Okay.
And even though, Boulder's sort of on the edge of the mountains, and
Yeah.
not in the mountains, I'd still consider it a mountain town.
For sure.
So I had one friend here,
Uh-huh.
a woman from Charlotte named Michelle Steiner, or married this guy named Charlie Kelly here. So
Okay.
Michelle Steiner Kelly, she's in real estate, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that sound familiar?
It does. Yeah. I think. Yeah. For some reason. Yeah. Go ahead. Carry on.
Yeah. So anyway, I spoke with Michelle for a
Yeah.
few times. This predated her relationship with Charlie, and she was like, "Oh, this place is great. Come down here." So
Yeah.
I did. I bought
Yes.
a house up in Sunshine Canyon, about
Okay.
6.5 miles up the canyon,
Nice.
and moved here, and never looked back. I mean, it was just a fortunate call on my part.
Yes.
And it's really been an extraordinary, gosh, at this point now, 20 years or whatever.
20 years. Yeah. Do you remember what year that was that you moved up there?
I would guess maybe 05
Oh,
or
05-ish,
06.
yeah. Cool. And I'm curious. So you said Sunshine Canyon. I mean, did you know when you came here, you're like, I want to be in Boulder, but I want to be up in the mountains like that?
I think that suited me. I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
as I drove to your house today,
Yeah.
it's a little more rural out here, and we live close to the meadows and the burbs, and this probably suits me a little bit better
Okay. Yeah.
than suburbia.
Yeah.
So that fit great. I was in town all the
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
had a
That's
plethora of friends,
For
but
sure.
had the opportunity to really get away. And it was a good-sized piece of land surrounded by BLM, built a bunch of trails up there.
Oh, how fun.
Yeah, it
That's
really
neat.
was.
What a great way to come to Boulder. Occurred to
extraordinary.
end up here. So, okay, that's neat. So mid 2000s, you're here, and you've been here. So yeah, 20 years. Did you, when you first kind of, if you can think back to that time, did you start working kind of surrounding areas, suburbs of Denver? Where primarily have you worked?
Yeah, I found a job in Longmont.
In Longmont, yeah. Okay.
That was a nice place to start. That was before I discovered the current company that I work with.
Okay.
Good couple of years
Okay.
there, but then moved to this company I'm with now called CarePoint.
CarePoint,
And we run all the ERs in the sort of Health One HCA system and do a lot more than that. But,
Awesome.
That's where I am now.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's fun. And so, starting out, are you're building trailers in Sunshine Canyon, still doing triathlon, kind of interfacing with Boulder in that regard as well?
Yeah. I was pretty involved. And, as an amateur, sometimes you bump into pros and develop friendships. And I think, there were several things. I don't remember how I became friends with the Alexanders, but Melissa and I were pretty close back in the day with Crow and Neary and and To to an extent. And Greg and Laura.
Yes.
So part of it though was I don't even know if you knew that I tried to do this, but in one of the worst times ever to raise money in 2008. So when I moved to Boulder, it's like, well, it's shocking the dearth of high quality training resources that we have.
For sure, 100%.
And I was absolutely blown away. And for whatever crazy reason, I thought I would fix that.
Yeah.
So in 2008, I came up with this idea and worked with several other people on this to build a high quality fitness and training facility that would meet the needs of the local community very broadly, increase our water space dramatically, but also meet the needs of elite athletes that might live here or want to travel here from another country or another part of the United States. Actually, I had a piece of land under contract, so I had this piece of land not too far from here called McKinsey Junction under contract, which is kind of where Iris and Foothills all come together and head out towards Longmont. It's about a 20-acre piece of land, but it was a terrible time trying to raise money. I didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
When it came to real estate development, I had some good people around me. The business model, I think, was very good for the operational side, but and it's funny. There's a local neurosurgeon in town that had another piece of land. So
Dr. V?
Yeah, who I know pretty well.
Yeah.
And neither of us could get it done. He was in an area where it was not going to be approved.
Yeah.
And I had a piece of land under contract, but we needed to raise $100 million. So this is going to include a hotel and some office space. Yeah. And we had it designed. I was working with Coburn, and they were amazing.
Yeah.
We had another architectural partner out of Denver, and Saunders was our builder, and everybody was pretty all in, but we could not find the money.
Yes.
And I wasn't sophisticated enough to know how to do that.
Right.
I probably brought some risk to the table with my lack of knowledge on how to develop a commercial real estate on any level, much less on that scale.
Right.
So it failed, but during the process, I spent a lot of time with professional athletes.
With the people,
Yeah, not just triathletes, but cyclists as well.
For sure.
Had a lot of support, a lot of help. I had multiple meetings with Greg and Laura about this.
Right.
They were really interested in helping. This Greg and Laura Bennett. Anyway, just couldn't get it done, and met Melissa along the way.
Right.
And so I'm step parent to Ryan and Katie, but they were babies. They were 1 and 3 at the time when we started dating.
Right.
So at some point, it was like, okay, I need to probably just start practicing emergency medicine full time.
Right.
And really embrace being a parent and sort of the financial responsibility of that.
Yeah.
So I stepped away from that project.
Yeah. Well, no, thanks for sharing that. I think it's fascinating that because I remember hearing of that. We know Dr. V very well. Also, we remember his efforts, and we've all been, anyone that likes to swim or exercise or watch people come and enjoy our town for swimming and exercise triathlon training, have always wondered, like, what the heck? Why is that not here? Why do we not have something to any level, right? Small or big scale? And, kudos for going through as far as you did. I think it is, it's just unfortunate timing. Realistically, right? Wrong market.
I think it was an intersection of timing and comprehension.
Or that,
so
as well.
I think at this point in my life, if I did something like that, it would work.
You would take it, it would take off.
Because I would know who to surround myself with. But we're not going to do that.
But it's not in the cards right now. It's someone else's task.
Yeah.
No, it's neat. Well, cool. Well, thanks for sharing that. And I think so first impressions of Boulder. Outside of, those great friendships and interactions that you've already shared, were you, and obviously I met Melissa here. Was it immediately home? Did you feel like you're connected to Boulder County, or was there a struggle there as you first got here?
No struggle at all. Yeah. Super quick. Honestly, Michelle connected me with a bunch of her friends, some of whom I remain friends with.
Yeah.
It was really easy, and I think the combination of having Boulder and Denver to some extent available, but living up in the mountains was perfect for me.
Yeah.
And my dogs, it was, it was just this intersection of really being, I don't know, this is going to sound trite, but one with nature to some extent.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I walk out on my deck.
Yeah.
And when you're up there, like 7,500 feet or whatever, and you're quite far away, you can hear the wings of, an eagle or a hawk.
That's so cool.
1,000 feet above you.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
It's so, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
That's
would love it. I'd
fantastic.
just go out on the deck and just like look up, and you would just
wow.
listen, and you'd know they were up there. And you'd look up and you'd see them.
That's
You know,
cool.
and seeing the animal life up there
Yes.
was extraordinary. So yeah, super quickly, I was like, okay, this is home. I think it'll be home for a long time.
Yeah. That's cool. And then, cool. That's amazing. Wait, and how did you meet Melissa? You guys met through the sport, or?
Well, she's an emergency medicine doc as
there
well.
you go. Yeah.
So she's at CarePoint.
Okay, perfect.
And, let's take a quick
Absolutely.
sip of water. But so we met there. It was kind of an odd confluence of things that brought us together. She was, going through a separation or relationship. Okay. I was too, but mine came on the heels of needing to move into town.
Oh, okay.
So I was up there during the 4 Mile fire.
Yeah.
And lost my home.
Yeah.
So I moved into town.
Yeah.
And, my relationship was winding down, and we were chatting about it at work one day, and we were like, we should go have a beer.
Yeah, there you go.
And,
nice.
and then started dating. So, I don't totally believe everything happens for a reason, but sometimes the stars line up pretty darn well.
It's hard not to. Yeah, it's hard not to believe that, right?
Yeah, that the universe is talking to you a little bit. So.
Good. Oh, cool.
Yeah. So
like
we started dating, and been together ever since.
Yeah.
16 years.
16 years. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. It's neat. Yeah, I'm most fascinated by that. And certainly, so it tells part of the story of you being here and what you do. And so we mentioned it before. You and I, we interact, or we came back sort of together. I think we did meet, in the sometime in that zone. But at the Meadows, and it's like, here we are, your kids are swimming through summer league, and it's really kind of, at least by my view, it's really I love the environment. I feel like it's a really special place where you have, kind of a tie to the traditions of the past, people that maybe will spend 1 to 15 years there with their kids and then beyond. But to me, it's a neat spot. And can you tell me kind of what brought you in there, or how you got involved, swim team and timer and all, or not timer, I'm sorry, announcing starter, all that stuff, how you got involved in that?
Sure. Well, so I moved in with Melissa not that long after we started dating, and there's a little path to the west.
Okay.
You walk through the parking lot.
For sure.
Takes you into a cul-de-sac called Friend's Place.
Yeah.
Well, that's where Melissa's house was.
Okay.
And so we had visual access, and I don't know why we waited. We should have been on the list immediately, but eventually we were like, okay, we should do this.
Yeah.
And we got her name on the list, and Ryan was old enough to kind of get started. I think maybe he was 7, and we were going to join the Elks.
Yeah.
And then we got in.
Yes.
We went over and checked it out, and we were like, this place is pretty cool. It's
fun.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
And Ryan had a good time, and very quickly became close friends with this one kid, who still very close with. So he and Ben Stiles, so Dan and Kristen's son, they were just, connected.
Yeah.
And really have been ever since. And then obviously the relationships evolved from there, and we feel very fortunate to have so many good family friendships, not just as parents, but really across all of our family. And the kids have grown up there, and
so cool.
I love the dynamic too. I mean, I think that it's a nice intersection of staying pretty healthy, doing something that'll make you fit, good for your body, and and having a good time. Gosh, those kids have so much fun.
So much fun. And that's I don't know if it's an appropriate time, but for me, it's a nice segue into kind of what you're doing now professionally, as well as, you reached out to share it. And so, it's something that you're talking about, big picture, helping people with their health in a way that I think, at least from my view, is completely overlooked or missed in our kind of, and tell me if I'm wrong here, in our modern medicine, or kind of how we go about things. And I read a little bit about this on my own, but you're creating something that's going to help people live better, live more healthy, examine. Am I right? Is that kind of for the most part what we're talking about?
Yeah, I think that's all really fair. And my career in medicine and emergency medicine is really couldn't be more reactive. Of course, we're dealing with people that come in that are by default saying, "Hey, Dr. Sankey, I've got a problem. I need help with this." So I'm then reacting to that, and sometimes it's minor, and Sometimes it's life-threatening or life-ending. But the name of our medical practice is called Ikigai. So it's Ikigai Health Institute, and Ikigai is a kind of a confluence of terms. And it's a Japanese word that essentially means your purpose in life or your reason for existence.
Okay.
And I'll give you and it's in this kind of this terribly ill-defined lifestyle, health span, lifespan, it's hard to even know what to call it. But it's the idea of identifying the risk for the things that limit our ability to age in a fulfilling manner. And the genesis of the practice is my best friend in Charlotte. His name's Rob Chen. He's an ER doc as well. Rob's next door neighbor, who's at that time was 50, so a urologist, rode his bike 300 to 400 miles a week, thin, fit-looking guy, just like yourself. No medical issues, has a heart attack,
right,
and gets admitted to the hospital, and turns out that it's a really large MI, really large myocardial infarction, and leads to his death within a few days. So as ER doctors, when we are taking care of someone, because you're juggling so much, you don't spend a lot of time pondering, why did this happen?
Right.
You just don't. But when it's your next door neighbor, you do.
You do. And
I think Rob was really hurt by this, and very emotional for the widow and the children of this guy. I think it was a difficult time.
Absolutely.
But also he was angry. He was like, how in the world does someone with no medical issues that lives a life that seemingly is a life that should lead to a high degree of health and a low risk life have a heart attack?
Right.
Because the process that leads to a heart attack is not something that develops quickly. It's
right.
a very,
yeah.
it's a multi-decade evolution.
Right.
So why wouldn't someone have meaning the medical system have identified, you have risk for this to happen, and we're going to mitigate that risk? So Rob said, well, I want to start a medical practice and get into this world. And Rob had retired from emergency medicine at that point. And I said, Rob, I can't do that. Our kids were in middle school at that time. We're busy.
Right.
And, I was on the board of our company, our medical practice. Between Melissa and I, were super busy.
You're busy.
And he said, well, let's do some research. And so he does a lot of research, and he figures it out, and he's like, just like you said a moment ago, Mike, you said, well, this is a system issue. It's like the science is there to identify this. This guy's risk could have been identified with a more proactive approach, but that's just not the way that healthcare is designed. And primary care physicians are under the gun. They've got to see X number of patients per day. It doesn't pay to take the level of time that's required. Insurance is not going to pay for that anyway. It's just a system issue. And he said, why don't we dig in and let's do a little testing? And we both discovered that we each, very different things, but we each have some risk. I have a genetic protein that's sort of similar to LDL that creates more risk for cholesterol to get deposited into the lining of my artery wall. And as it turns out, that has occurred. So I have some heart disease, which was shocking to me.
Right.
I actually have discussed this with my doctor some over the years. You're a pretty fit guy.
Yeah.
You're thin. You're reasonably muscular. Like, your lipids are a little borderline, but what's the likelihood of you having anything very low? And I'm like, well, my father's side of the family, every single one of them had something significant, and they're all dead from that something.
Yeah.
And but we didn't really chase it much more. We got this thing called a calcium score, which looks for calcium deposition in the artery, which is the end stage process where your artery kind of is tired of this plaque being there for years and years and years and years and years, and decides to wall it off and try and stabilize it. And I didn't have any plaque. I didn't have any calcified plaque.
Calcified plaque.
Yeah, and so my doctor's like, I think you're fine. This was when I was 50. So anyway, we fast forward, we do this testing on each other. I'm like, holy cow, I do have some risk. And so I repeat my calcium score. And guess what? I now have calcified plaque, which means that when I got the original one done, I had non-calcified plaque.
Right.
And so it was a terribly unsophisticated view on my part, and probably my primary care doctor's part, to not dig in a little deeper. But again, it's just not the way.
It's not the protocol.
Medicine's practice. So when I realized, my own risk has been missed and could have been mitigated better over the years, that's when I said, okay, I'm in. Let's do this. So we spent the last couple years building the concept. How do we take care of people? We had to learn the medicine. We're both ER doctors, right? So we've spent, a couple of years learning the medicine, and we got about 20 folks to volunteer time.
Okay.
Volunteer their bodies to science.
Yeah.
And we worked with them and learned from them and taught them and really honed our approach and then sort of logistically our workflow.
Right.
And in the meantime, we had to build a company because it is a company. It's still a medical practice. Money flows in. We have expenses. Yeah. So we had to design all that. And in March, we went live. And it's been shockingly successful.
And you're based in sort of
Boulder, Charlotte, and Raleigh, North Carolina.
Okay, yeah. And you treat and you visit with people on site in each, or is it?
It's both. It's both on site and virtual. So
makes sense.
We've got
good for you
patients in California, and we've got a couple up in Cheyenne.
Yes,
but we've got people locally as well. Yeah. And with people that are locally, of course, I do get to see them in person more. 100%. Saw a patient this morning in the office before I came over here.
Yeah. And are you still doing the ER stuff, or is this full focus is here now? No,
we have to get to the point where the full focus can be here.
100%.
Yeah. Got a bill or two to pay.
And it's a valid valid answer. The bills keep coming.
Yeah. It's about half-time emergency medicine. So it's busy.
Amazing.
So it's pretty full-time for Ikigai.
Good for you.
And then some, but half-time in the ER. But I've changed my practice a little. Don't do any nights or weekends or holidays.
And so, I mean, this is, and again, like I'm coming to you, when you brought it up, I was immediately, and again, for personal reasons, and I'm going to jump on, I'm going to become a client or a patient, client patient, because I sort of fit that category, and we've watched, and again, this is sort of the PSA to everyone that's listening, that's kind of like, hey, it wouldn't be me. You watch as you're involved in the sport, you see people. That story, unfortunately, it's not a one-off. Like your friend's neighbor, we've heard many of them, and we've seen them, and we've seen athletes that we know have that fate. We're talking about T.O. earlier. Like T.O. is a great example, and is very publicly talked about his heart attack. And you're like, wait, that guy? And so ultimately, as you see it, and then a book, Peter Attia put the book out, Outlive, and I picked up the book. I'm like, I'm going to read this. Oh no, I've got to look into this as well. And you start to kind of push into it. And this is where I really find it fascinating, is that if you do look at your numbers and you see the stuff, by and large, if you're in the bell curve, hey, you're fine. Hey, don't do anything. Hey, don't do the tests. And this, again, why I say it's the PSA, because a public service announcement is if you're hearing this and going, I wonder if I should get it checked. I mean, I think you should get it checked, right? You should, if you're 30, or if you're 40, or if you're 50, you should check. And if they're saying, well, my doctor doesn't want to, there should be a way to find out and get the information. Does that not sound fair? Like,
it's completely fair, right? And I'm biased, right? To admit that. But yeah, I mean, if you ask of the people that we brought on as patients, what percentage have had something that needed to be addressed? 100%.
100%, yeah.
And we've got a couple folks in their 30s, and we've got a couple folks in their 70s, and everything in between. Yeah. But it's shocking. I mean, it is shocking what you discover when you really peel back the layers of the onion. And for us, Mike, you can order tests that genetic testing, and there's proteomics, and there are a lot of things out there, some of which is actionable, and some of which is not.
Okay.
And our goal, right, we're evaluating a proteomics company right now to figure out, okay, is this going to be actionable or not? It may be, but a little bit TBD. But our goal is to, first off, get to know the patient, right? This whole idea of Ikigai, like, what do you want?
Yeah.
What do you guys want for yourselves in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years?
Right.
When your kids have grown up and have their own kids, what sort of life do you want?
Yeah.
But there's a path you're on, and there's going to be a path you're going to travel between now and then, and figuring out whether the path that you think you're on is really the one on is where it lies. So we start with really getting to know folks, probably a lot more intimately than you might imagine.
Right. Love that.
And then we spend a couple hours just sit down and chatting and really getting
Fantastic.
to know you in detail. But then we roll our sleeves up and we start doing some testing, which includes things like VO2 max. So in Boulder, our VO2 max partner is Jared Berg, and he's a fantastic exercise physiologist, works with a lot of elite athletes. But the information from that, even though your listener might think, well, that sounds like something for an elite athlete, right? For Mike Lovato back in the day.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Yeah.
So the information from that is tremendously important. The correlation between VO2 max and death is very tightly held. So the higher that number is, the lower your likelihood of death from anything when we look at large studies. Now, if you were to say, well, tell me from an exercise physiology standpoint exactly how that happens, I don't think anybody can give you an exact causation,
Right.
but the numbers are large enough that the association likely is causation. But we don't just look at that. We're like, well, how do you use fuel? How do you produce lactate and use that lactate compared to Kipchoge or somebody like that? And how well do you metabolize fat? We call this fuel flexibility. And in somebody that has insulin resistance, which is the precursor state to type 2 diabetes, they can't burn fat very well. And we see that with Jared very quickly. We know before we even look at their insulin levels that they're going to be insulin resistant.
Yeah,
we know that. But then it's actionable. So all these things that we test have to be addressed. It can't just be information and give them a pat on the back and wish them luck.
Right.
It's got to be addressable. So that's part of what we do is we mitigate, right? So that's why we interact with people on roughly a weekly basis and look at how you exercise and how you train and how you eat and how you live your life. And you're still in charge of your own body. My job's to give you feedback and direction. And be honest with you and say, well, Mike, here's what we discovered, and here's what you told me you want to be doing when you're 70, but here's the path that you're actually on. So we have to reconcile that, which means you have to reconcile
Make
that.
some changes. Yeah, that's fantastic, Dave. I love hearing that. I mean, that's it. It's really cool, and I hope that I'll try and share as well, but I hope that people can follow this and track the resources and track how that is applicable. I mean, I referenced the book that I read, which was just the taster for me of understanding this and hearing that VO2 thing. And like, well, as it declines, your ability as you age, right, to do things that are basic, climbing stairs, that would decline as well, right? I think there's also correlations there.
Oh, 100%.
So
100%. Yeah, and we take folks through a testing process which if you join the practice, you'd go through it. So we see not just your VO2 max, but how strong you are, how mobile you are, how stable you are, what your balance is like. So we have a protocol that we designed with a couple physical therapists and Jared and then some personal trainers. Kind of put our minds together and we looked at, okay, well, what's the data that we could test somebody for 4 hours. That doesn't make a lot of sense. What can we put together in an hour that gives us a pretty good indication of what path you're on, what risks you have?
Yeah, that's great. I love that. Well, very cool. Thank you for sharing that. And then how can people kind of find that now? So let's spell it out. Let's tell them where the website is so people that are intrigued by what we've already talked about can go find it online.
Yeah. Sure. Ikigai, again, is a name. It's Ikigai, and it's just Ikigai Health Institute.
Okay.
So ikigaihealthinstitute.com. We try and put a blog on there every week or so. So we write educational articles.
Perfect.
And hopefully, whether you're a patient or not, you can garner something from that.
Yeah.
You mentioned Atia, which is fantastic. Yeah. Obviously, he's really for the type of medicine that we're practicing in our approach. He's a person we learned a lot from, and kudos to him for years ago recognizing that the path he was on, right? So he was a surgeon, and the path that he was on didn't fit his interests and his ikigai and the life that he wanted to live. And he went through several iterations before he came back to medicine. He was a consultant for a while, and then really just dug in deep on what's the science behind not only longevity, right? It's this idea of how long you live, but how well you live as you go through the process. And so absolutely, we appreciate him, and we appreciate the work that he's done. We appreciate him putting a conversation like this on the map. And I heard him in a podcast the other day say that Outlive has sold 3 million copies.
Wow.
Which to me is just heartwarming that people are so fantastically interested in how to live a life that puts them in a position to age in a fulfilling manner. Because we don't necessarily inherently know that, and the idea of how you move your body and what you put in your mouth and how those things matter. But also what's your risk for cancer and how do we identify that early? It's a big part of what we do is we have this atypical multi-layered approach to cancer screening. And the reason Peter talks about this so much is, if you get one of the 10 most common causes of cancer, your risk of death is 50% roughly.
Right.
It's a huge number. It's an unacceptable number.
Yeah.
But this is what is paid for, and with our screening approach in the United States, that number can be pushed a lot lower if you take a more proactive approach to screening. And then we catch early, right? So the treatment options for cancer are definitely evolving and improving, but they're not great, or that number wouldn't be 50%.
Right.
So the goal is to catch it early, so then the treatment options are viable,
right,
rather than catching it late when you're likely to pass away.
And that's well said. That's well said. I mean, I think that's, I throw around these terribly, remembered stats about the likelihood of surviving. But early stage, like stage 1, stage 2 versus stage 3, stage 4, your likelihood of surviving it dramatically higher if you find it early.
Absolutely.
Versus like you find it in stage 4, you have terrible odds of surviving. I mean, again, I won't throw the numbers out because I just make them up after hearing them, a year ago. But either way, I love that you're saying that, and I think that providing that, and again, having what you said, having these conversations, that book has had 3 million, copies read, and just that people are aware. Because I think what really captured me the first time around, because I had kids late, like, I was 40 when I had my daughter and 43 when I had my son. So we are looking at it for like a different view of what I want to be when I'm 80. It's not like, well, really 80 to 90. And I think the thing that captured me in that book was like, you don't want to have that decline to death and have this marginal decade where you can't do anything you love, can't be with the people you love, can't actually be thriving. You're just steadily losing the ability to do the things you love and be the people you love. Whereas if you really live a life well and you set yourself up, you kind of get to the end and you just fall off a cliff. And that to me was a really good picture of like doing something now for 30 years down the road so you cannot have that, or you can just kind of be living really, really well all the way till you're not living. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And I think your point is really good that it has to be intentional.
Yes.
But it also needs to be informed, right? Yes. There are a million influencers online that'll tell you what to do or what not to do that might be right in some cases, but it might be totally wrong in some cases. And, our goal is to leverage science, and a little bit of the art of medicine, and having interacted with patients for, soon to be 30 years.
Yes, I know. Wow, that's crazy.
Young. But to take that information and put people in a position where we can look them in the face and say, hey, we think there's enough data around this recommendation that it's a pretty solid recommendation on what you should do.
What you should do.
Yeah, whether that's how you eat. And, it's funny, there's so much excitement out there right now about protein intake. There was a recent podcast thing was on Huberman where this guy was kind of slamming some of the docs that recommend higher protein intake. And then there was a rebuttal from Gabrielle Lyons, got this guy on who's a fantastic scientist, but understands, food science on a different level, and basically said, well, this guy that was on Huberman, let me tell you why he doesn't know what he's talking about. Yeah. And broke it down from a scientific standpoint, but helped people really understand why a little bit higher protein intake than the RDA is likely a good idea. But the fact that these conversations are occurring, I love it.
It's great. Right? I love a good argument too.
Well, sure.
No, but that's neat. And those are both, folks take notes. I mean, those are good. Both of those individuals, listen to them. Huberman's got great guests, and Lyons, I mean, I've heard her a couple times. Wow. Super smart. I mean, I found very useful information a couple times I've listened to her be interviewed. Let's do this because we're running out of time. And you've got an engagement coming up here, and I don't want to be selfish with your time. Let's just quickly take a right turn. Tell me just tell me real quick. I love this question for you. Is just walk us through really an ideal Boulder County day. I'm going to close to the Boulder thought real light. I'm going to give you time to think about it. But let's just say that you have the day off, or maybe not. Maybe you're working. Maybe you're with Melissa. Maybe you're solo. Whatever. I'm trying to set it up here, but I want you to share with everyone that's listening here, so we know a little bit about Dr. Dave. What's an ideal Boulder day look like? Boulder County, general area. You've got winter time, summer, spring, fall, anything you want.
Oh, gosh.
And just walk us through eating, drinking, exercising, hanging out, spending time. What would it look like? Just give it to us, and then we'll wrap and let you go.
Yeah. What a challenging question. I know you know that, right?
It's so hard. I know. That's why I try to give you a little thinking time.
Yeah. No, this is good. I'll tell you, I don't know if you do this or not, but one of the most favorite things for me is in the fall.
Okay.
Kids are back in school, is in the morning to go over to Meadows and swim by myself.
Okay.
Nobody there.
Okay.
Such a gorgeous place. A lot of times you'll get some leaves turning. You can just go out there and crank it out in solitude. And I love it.
Okay.
Sun's coming down right. It's sunny all the time here, right? Especially in the fall.
Yes.
So that's a great start to the day. My day would not be complete without spending some time with my dog, Blue. Yeah. So that would usually involve maybe a hike on the Bobo, or maybe going up to Chautauqua. There's a loop that we love to do up there.
Okay. What kind of dog is Blue? Just real quick.
Blue's a little Boykin Spaniel.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Sweet.
Definitely. I think all of us in the family would say he's each of our soulmates.
Nice.
Yeah.
What a dog. Okay.
No, he's extraordinary. And then ideal day. I mean, I think, for us, we would love to probably spend time with one of our close family friends, either as a couple for Melissa and I, going out somewhere in Boulder, whether that's Black Cat or, some cool restaurant downtown, or, our standby is Corelli's. We probably go there way too much.
Nice. Okay.
We love it. But there are plenty of amazing restaurants in town. But just spending time with friends, or perhaps an evening at the Meadows if it's nice.
Yeah.
We've seen you over there in the evenings, and it's something that we really enjoy doing. It's just so relaxing to go over there and throw something on the grill and
for sure
hang out with friends and family and keep it pretty chill. There are a million things to do in Boulder, and
I know,
and that dramatically limits it. But that'd be a great day. Get a good set in over at the Meadows and get my sweat on in the pool. Spend some time with the dog. Spend some time with the family, and then cap it off with an evening with friends. And at this point, since Ryan's in college now, probably have to include a little FaceTime with him since he can't join us in person.
So good. Oh, I love it, Dave. That's nice stuff. And you know what? Selfishly, I ask this question. It's for everyone that's listening, and it's for you because it's a fun exercise. But my part is I always steal from someone's perfect day. And what I'm going to do, I don't think it can be tomorrow, but Monday or Tuesday, I'm going to go to the pool. I'm going to go do that.
There you go,
buddy. I'm going to little taste test of the fall meadow swim. You just that's my return to swimming. Thanks to you.
Yeah. I'm happy to join you.
Yeah, very good. Well, maybe I'll text you. We'll do that. But then it takes away your solitude. We'll do it, though. So, very good. I mean, unless you tell me if you were coming here and you felt like, gosh, Lovato really dropped the ball, I wanted to say this. If there's something you want to share, now's the time. Otherwise, I'm going to let you go do the rest of your day.
Yeah, thanks. No, you didn't drop the ball. It's been fantastic. I mean, I could probably spend another hour just chit-chatting with you.
Same.
We do have an open house. I can't remember if I told you that.
You did,
this is probably a shameless plug. So,
do it. I like shameless plugs.
Yeah. So our office is on Spruce Street, 1215 Spruce.
Yep.
Up on the second floor, and I believe it's the last Thursday of the month, which I think is 25th, 26th, something like that.
Yes.
5:00, we have a little open house. We'll have some pikas, chips and guac there. We'll have several stations. We'll have Jared there kind of explaining VO2 max. I don't know if he's going to have the whole setup. He actually might. We might have a trainer and a bike.
Wow.
Somebody wants to get on it.
Ouch.
We're going to do some nitric oxide testing and talk about how that's impactful to our vasculature. We have a couple of coaches that we lean on for habit forming, behavioral adaptation. They'll be there talking about how hard it is, how easy it is, what strategies are to adjust habits. Our ultrasound company that we lean on is going to be there doing some unofficial unofficial carotid and thyroid
okay.
ultrasounds that no doctor will read, completely unofficial. And I think we have another station. Oh, yeah. Jason Bush from Body Balance, who does all of our mobility and strength testing, will be there with some of our toys.
Yes.
So you want to come over and do, I think you're going to be out of town, but you can do the mid-thigh pull. We'll be doing grip strength. We'll be doing some other things. It's going to be fun.
So this is, I think you told, this is the 26th. Is it Thursday or Friday?
It's a Thursday.
Thursday the 25th.
Yeah, last
I'm doing
Thursday of the month.
Yeah. And here's why. I love it. I'm actually going to try and talk to my family and see if we can push our department. I have a wedding we're going to. We never go to weddings. We're going to a wedding. These kind friends invited me to actually be the person that is doing the officiating.
Oh, really?
So I'm super nervous. So to blow off steam, I'm going to try and see if I can come. If I can't be there, you guys all got to be there. That sounds awesome. The 25th of September. Look it up online. This is awesome. That sounds great. I mean, you told me about it. It sounded great, but then you gave me more details. It sounds greater. So thank you for sharing that.
Thanks, buddy.
Good stuff. Well, I tell you what, this has been awesome. I could also do another hour, and we'll have to catch up for maybe just something casual, not recorded, and go further, get to know each other better. But thank you so much for being here today. It's been an absolute treat.
Appreciate your time, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And I'll just always close out by saying, before the next podcast, folks, you, Dave, and everyone, go out there and do something that you love.